Hello judges and hello my opponent. Today we are given a motion this House would abolish prisons. Abolishing prisons would make society safer and more humane. Prisons only cage people rather than support communities by ensuring their access to food, shelter, education, healthcare, and freedom. We should consider new ways other than prisons to make our communities safer, more sustainable, healthier, and more successful for all. I have two main points. Quality of life. Let me explain my first point, quality of life. Prisons do not provide the minimum standards of a healthy living. For example, United States Department of Justice report that there were over 8,210 cases of sexual abuses in prisons. 80% of women were sexually abused by prison guards. A 16-year-old boy Rodney committed a suicide because he couldn't stand the sexual abuses by many adults. According to the Nikkei newspaper, January 10, 2014, at least 218 prisoners died in Brazilian prisons because the prison guards violently beat them. In Tokushima, Japan, prisoners with diseases couldn't get enough treatment or medicine, so 6 people died. These are just a sample of the cases when prisoners' human rights are violated. According to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25, everyone has the right to standards of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself, including food, shelter, housing, and medical care and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of sickness, disability, old age, or other lack of a livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. Clearly, prisoners' human rights are violated. Let me explain my second point, safer societies. Less prisons mean less crime, more prisons mean more crime. Let's compare the example of United States and Finland. According to Angel Davis, professor at the University of California and at Santa Cruz, the tough on crime policy of the 1980s in the United States didn't produce safer communities or a drop in the crime rates. It just created more prisons. The war on drugs creates more crimes and fewer prisons with drug addicts and nonviolent offenders. According to critical resistance, only about 1% of the 2.5 million people in United States prisons are there for violent offenders like murder, rape, and pedophilia. Communities with a high incarceration rate are less stable and less safe. Families are broken up. Communities rely on the state to intervene in disputes that could be resolved by the people themselves. In the United States, prison is the violent place that often makes non-violent inmates become more violent. This violent institution only brings about more violence, domestic violence, child abuse, assault, beyond the walls of the prison. On the other hand, Finland's cases show us that less prisons decrease crime. 30 years ago, Finland had a strict prisons like Russia, and one of the highest rates in imprisonment in Europe. They changed the prison system. Over the last 2 decades, more than 40,000 Finns had been spared prisons. $20 million in costs have been saved. As the crime rates had gone to low Scandinavian levels, these 2 cases show us that less prisons make society safer. Therefore, we should move towards abolishing prison and creating a kinder society for all. Thank you for listening.